folks, with Tassus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast. In this essay, I'd like to talk about not necessarily the moral issues, but maybe the practical day-to-day issues. And this sort of story comes out of a recent encounter I had with a lady in her early 20s. And where she just casually mentions the sort of things she does to pay off her student loans and just to have a better lifestyle and so on, and have access to more consumer goods, and just sort of levering off that, if you will, that British girl, I think Lily Phillips is her name, and she has claimed and appears to back it up with the evidence, has claimed that she screwed 100 guys in a day, which I understand it was done in 8 hours or so. She'd take a break or something. But if you look at I don't think much of the men who would queue up for this or stand in line for this sort of thing. But if you look at the 100 people, it's less than 5 minutes for each one. And could you sort of get into? I don't know. You'd have to be well into the zone before the gig even started. Well, anyway, it's hard for me to imagine. But look, again, as far as I can tell, the evidence is there. So now, if you were introduced, say you didn't know any of this, say you didn't know any of it at all, and you were introduced to that Lily girl, and the way she looks, she's fairly smallish and petite, and got the blonde hair. She's got kind of a cute kid smile almost. And you met her. Would you think, if someone said to you, "See that girl there? She screwed 100 guys in a day and is boasting about it online," you wouldn't believe it, not looking at her. If I was introduced to her, I wouldn't even think she was capable of such a thing. But it's the standard of what appears to be good behavior or niceness or pleasantness or friendliness or agreeableness or whatever is that something, has that entirely changed? Now, going back in time to say the 1920s or even 1930s in Britain, and some of you will have heard of the author called Somerset Maugham, Maugham, Somerset Maugham, and he wrote a book called a novel, which is called Cakes and Ale. I think that title comes from a Shakespeare play, and he talks about a lady who was just like a barmaid somewhere. She was pleasant, she was kind, she was nice, and she was funny, and she was good to be with, but she thought nothing of engaging in vigorous intimate relations with any number of men, provided she got something out of it, particularly material things. And so this idea of women doing this, whether you go back to ancient Rome or whether again in the 1920s and 30s in a Somerset Maugham novel, you see the same thing. So the idea that it's a moral decay that happened 5 minutes ago in the West, I think we can put that to one side. In terms of screwing 100 guys in a day, some of the Roman women used to do that. They used to have, screwing competitions, and a few women would get together and see how many guys they could fuck in a day, and the winner, and they would compare notes and then declare the winner at the end of the day. So again, this isn't something that's unique to our times. But how widespread is it? There's a certain type or class of people that maybe would consider this behaving this way or doing these sorts of things. And is that base of people much broader than it once was? Women or men, for that matter, 100 men still had to line up to get with that Lily lady. So what sort of morals do they? Why are they even doing that? To me, that would be unthinkable. I wouldn't dream of doing something like that. But then, I'm not one of the 100. As I understand, she's claiming she's going to go for even more than 100, like 1,000, I think was a number. I don't know how it's going to happen. Anyway, um, this idea, or what brought it up recently was, I was taking a relative to get some medical attention, and one of the, like a nurse's aide, I suppose you'd call her. She was a young woman in her, I don't know, 23, 24, something like that. Nothing to look at, quite pleasant and almost bubbly, you could say, but again, nothing to look at. I can't imagine that she'd have men trying to jump on her. I mean, maybe she does. I don't know. I can't visualise it. I don't think she's much to look at. But maybe, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Maybe another guy thinks she's smoking hot. But anyway, she was quite casually, and this is the bit that got me. Something like that. There's no shame in this. That's probably something that strikes me. There's no shame in it. Now, some people are incapable of feeling shame. The character in the Somerset Maugham novel was one of those. But some people are. Typically, if somebody would blush crimson with shame if they were caught out, but others not. I dated a lady when I was about 20, I suppose, and she was like Danish or something, and she was she made it. She had this sort of quite thick accent, and I can't copy the accent, but she used to sort of fuck me. I like to fuck. I like to fuck. That was that was her phrase. But and I know she was seeing other guys, so that was that 100 would have crossed her mind. But coming back to this nurse's aide now, she did not a graduate diploma, like she did a 2-year diploma rather than getting a graduate degree, but still it was $30,000-$40,000. She's living at home with the folks, she explained, but she, in order to make the money to because she only had some part-time job at like a retail shop or something, and if she was going to go out partying and night clubbing, she needed more money, and of course she didn't want to leave college with that 2-year diploma. She didn't want to leave college without that with this debt hanging over her head, and she was mindful that she wasn't going to go into high income earning occupations, so she just did sex for guys. She targeted older men, so she said, because they just got off on the idea of some young chick. The impression I got was she wasn't doing guys her own age, but I didn't inquire. I more just listened with. I suppose now I'm doing incredulity. Why was she telling me? I mean, and why would, or maybe she thought I was a potential customer, and why would she disclose this level of detail? But bottom line, she was doing hand jobs and engaging in fellatio for money, and she said that I sort of I did ask. I said, well, did you make enough money to pay off your student debt? And she sort of laughed, oh yeah, and some, as if to say, you've got no idea how much money I did make. And so she managed to pay off $30,000 to $40,000 and have plenty of money left over for clothes and going out night clubbing and boozing and partying and getting party drugs and all this sort of thing. So now I don't know. I mean, what was her income just from doing that? Was it she's probably making $30,000-$40,000 plus a year just doing that? She drew the line at full body, horizontal, intimate sort of sex. But so I suppose there's at least some semblance of a moral standard there. But the point comes back. She's telling me, the way she was telling me, and I've come across this before. I did a video about it not long ago, but the way she was telling you, this casualness, this sort of, don't you know that everybody does it? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's why. But I also got the sense that she had no future in mind. There was no, I'm going to get married and have children, and I want a loving husband. There wasn't that didn't even seem to factor in. That wasn't a consideration. And given her socioeconomic group, she's got almost no chance. No, I mean, a 1 in a million chance that she's going to come across a high income earning classy guy. And so she's already given up at the age of 23. She's given up on the whole idea that she's ever going to meet a high income earning classy guy, that she's ever going to be in a position of building a future, investing in a future, investing in, say, a house, or investing in children and their education, that sort of thing. I think I'm pretty sure that she came from a single mother household, so it's probably not a particularly good advertisement for how to live your life, but boyfriends coming through the place and all that sort of stuff. But so she's got a casual attitude that intimate relations is just to get what you want or have a good time or a pleasure of the moment or something, that type of thing, rather than something that may be part of a loving relationship, or it's part of say procreating or something like that. And this just wasn't on her radar. So I think and I don't think she didn't come across to me as, but neither did that Lily, by the way. She came across as being just a pleasant sort of working class chick, pretty bubbly and had a again, she wasn't hot looking or anything, but had quite a pleasant smile and that sort of thing. And to hear that she was doing that without the slightest shame, conscience, remorse, or may have been regret, but I didn't detect that, well, not overtly anyway. Does she feel that deep down the pain of, or pain's the wrong word, deep down the disappointment of not having a loving relationship with and not building or investing in future? I think so. I did detect a little bit of that there, but I was more wanting to listen. I thought if I asked too many questions, she might clam up. So, but again, why would she tell me? Why would she take this casual attitude? That sort of threw me in particular. If you listen to the way that Lily Phillips talks, again, there's a certain shoulder shrugging casualness to it all. And I'm seeing this around, there's, she mentions, my friend's only 19 and, she's doing way more than I am. What? So these are people who aren't interested in making a career of prostitution and who do have other employment options. But the cost of living being what it is, the piss weak wages in the professions that they can get into, or the occupations they can get into, mean that if they want to live life a little bit better, this is how they have to do it. And there's a certain tragedy, I think, in that. And we've brought it on ourselves, the globalists who inflicted this on us with the high price of housing and rent and mortgages. Everything is way more expensive. It needs to be energy, food, and so on. The globalists have done this to us. And I think they've created a perfect environment for these sorts of attitudes to prevail and to be as widespread and common as they are. It's a tragedy of the first magnitude, in my view. You've been with Tassus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.